Hello everyone. Welcome back to my B&B Today spoiler channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. The Bold and the Beautiful B&B spoilers hint that John Finn Finnegan, Tanner Novlan, and Daphne Rose Walton, Muriel Hilaire, don't know it yet, but they'll both be facing more devastation in the not-too-distant future. Could sparks fly for Daphne and Finn once their spouse's secret comes out? Daphne has already had to face some heartbreaking struggles in her quest to start a family with Carter Walton, Lawrence St. Victor. Things got so bleak for Daphne that she nearly left Los Angeles and her marriage behind. As for Finn, he had to deal with all that Sheila Carter, Kimberlyn Brown drama in Monaco. It led to Steffy Forrester Finnegan, Jacqueline McInnes Wood, removing her wedding ring set and announcing she was done, so distraught Finn has been trying to save his relationship. Finn and Daphne both feel like they made massive mistakes that they need to fix, but B&B fans know Steffy and Carter made a far bigger one together. The night Carter and Steffy shared at Forrester Creations will eventually rock Daphne and Finn to the core. It's just a matter of when the truth will get exposed and how exactly it'll happen. Regardless, Finn may find himself needing a shoulder to cry on, so no one would understand his pain and anger better than Daphne. Likewise, Daphne may feel drawn to Finn as someone who gets what this betrayal feels like. Finn and Daphne may have another reason to be crushed if Steffy ends up pregnant with Carter's baby. That could add a difficult layer to all this and serve as another way to push Daphne in Finn's direction. Drunk Steffy and Carter turn to each other for comfort because of their marital problems. The same thing could happen with Finn and Daphne whether alcohol is involved or not. Will Daphne fall into Finn's arms or maybe even land in bed with him? Could Finn and Daphne sizzle as they try to cope with what Steffy and Carter did? The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say some romantic curveballs are still to come on the CBS soap, so stick with us for any major love life news. Buckle up, Bold and the Beautiful fans, because the rumor mill in Los Angeles is spinning faster than a Forrester Creations runway show, and this time the gossip has a name attached to it that nobody saw coming. Sources close to the fictional canvas are whispering that a devastating betrayal is about to rock the very foundation of one of daytime's most talked-about power couples, and when the dust settles, two unlikely souls might find themselves leaning on each other in ways that could change everything. Is a forbidden comfort story about to unfold? Grab your coffee, settle in, and let's break down every juicy detail of what could be coming to daytime's most dramatic zip code. The calm before the storm. If there's one thing long-time viewers know about this world, it's that peace never lasts. Just when a relationship looks unshakable, the writers love to pull the rug out from under it, and insiders suggest that's exactly the storm brewing on the horizon. For weeks, things have looked deceptively stable. Dinner parties, champagne toasts, soft lighting and soft promises. But anyone who has watched this show for more than a single season knows that stable is often just the calm right before a hurricane makes landfall. Whispers around the fictional writer's room suggest a long-simmering secret is about to boil over, and it involves infidelity so shocking that even the show's most jaded characters will reportedly be left speechless. The kind of reveal that doesn't just end in slammed doors and thrown champagne glasses, but reshapes alliances for months, maybe years, to come. And right in the middle of the fallout, two characters who, on paper, have absolutely no business ending up in each other's orbit. Finn and Daphne. Wait, Finn and Daphne? Together? We know. Your jaw is on the floor right now, and honestly, ours was too when we started connecting the dots. Finn, steady, thoughtful, the kind of man who has spent his fictional life trying to do right by the people he loves even when the world keeps testing him, has never exactly been positioned as someone who'd wander outside his marriage. And Daphne, an intriguing new presence on the canvas, has largely been an outsider looking in on the tangled web of Forrester and Spencer and Logan family drama. But that's precisely what makes this potential storyline so juicy. Soap operas thrive on the collision of characters who were never supposed to meet in a romantic context, and if the rumors hold water, the show may be gearing up to test whether shared heartbreak can create a spark that neither of them saw coming, or wanted. Here's the speculative shape of it, stitched together from fan theories, casting hints, and the kind of narrative breadcrumbs that long-time viewers have learned to spot a mile away. The betrayal that changes everything. Picture this. A night that was supposed to be ordinary. A quiet dinner, maybe a work function, the kind of scene the show uses to lull you into a false sense of security before yanking the floor out. And then, the reveal. A confession, or worse, a discovery. Photos on a phone. A hotel receipt tucked into a coat pocket. A slip of the tongue during an argument that was never supposed to go there. Multiple fan theories point toward a scenario where someone close to Finn's inner circle is revealed to have been carrying on a secret affair, one that's been hiding in plain sight for longer than anyone wants to admit. The betrayal doesn't just wound one person, it sends shockwaves through an entire friend group, the way these reveals always do on this show. Trust, once shattered, doesn't just affect the two people at the center of it. It ripples outward, touching everyone who believed they knew the people around them. For Finn, a man who has already weathered more heartbreak and manipulation than most fictional characters could survive, discovering that someone he trusted has been living a double life would be nothing short of gutting. He's a healer by profession and by nature, the kind of person who processes pain by trying to fix everyone else's first and his own last. But even the most patient, steady souls have a breaking point, and insiders suggest this reveal could push him right up to the edge of his. Meanwhile, Daphne's connection to the betrayal is murkier, but no less devastating. Some fan speculation suggests she's blindsided by a partner's wandering eye. Others believe she's collateral damage in a scheme that was never about her at all, but leaves her reputation and heart in tatters regardless. Either way, the storyline reportedly leaves her isolated, hurt, and searching for someone, anyone, who might actually understand what she's going through without an agenda attached. Two broken hearts, one unlikely bond. This is where things get interesting. Soap opera comfort storylines are a tale as old as time. Two wounded people, reeling from betrayal, find themselves gravitating toward each other not out of romantic intention but out of sheer emotional exhaustion. It starts innocently enough. A shared glance across a crowded room where everyone else seems to be either gossiping or picking sides. A quiet conversation that lasts far longer than either of them expected. The realization that, for the first time in weeks, they don't have to perform composure for someone else's benefit. If the rumors are accurate, Finn and Daphne's first real connection could come from something as simple as both showing up somewhere they didn't expect the other to be. Maybe a late-night visit to Il Giardino, maybe a chance run-in at the hospital, maybe even a moment stolen at one of Forrester Creations' infamous fashion showcases where the drama is always simmering just beneath the surface. What starts as small talk turns into something deeper, an admission that things aren't okay, followed by the kind of raw honesty that only comes from two people who have stopped pretending. There's something almost cinematic about the way these things tend to unfold on this show. A rainstorm that traps them somewhere together. A late-night phone call that neither of them can quite bring themselves to end. The show has never been shy about staging these emotional collisions with maximum dramatic flair, and if this storyline moves forward the way sources suggest, expect every lingering stare and unfinished sentence to be dissected by fans within minutes of it airing. Comfort, not betrayal? Or something more complicated? Here's where the speculation gets especially spicy. Is this simply two friends leaning on each other in a moment of crisis, or is something more romantically charged brewing beneath the surface? Because let's be honest, on this show, just comfort rarely stays just comfort for very long. Fan theories are split right down the middle. One camp believes the writers are setting up a slow-burn friendship that eventually blossoms into genuine romantic feelings, especially if Finn's own relationship doesn't survive the fallout of the betrayal storyline. This version of events would see Finn and Daphne's bond develop gradually. Coffee dates that turn into dinners, dinners that turn into late-night conversations on someone's balcony, until one day neither of them can deny that what started as mutual healing has become something else entirely. The other camp isn't so sure. Some fans argue that Finn's history, his loyalty, his tendency to fight for the people he loves even when it costs him, makes it unlikely he'd allow himself to fall for someone else so soon after a betrayal, even one as devastating as the one being teased. In this version, Finn and Daphne's connection stays firmly in found family territory. Two people who help each other survive the wreckage without crossing into romance, at least not right away. Of course, long-time viewers know that not right away is basically a soap opera guarantee that it's coming eventually. The genre runs on slow-burn tension, and if the writers are smart, they'll milk every ounce of will they energy out of this pairing before letting anything definitive happen. What this means for Finn's marriage. No matter which direction the writers take the Finn and Daphne dynamic, one thing seems certain. This storyline is going to put serious strain on Finn's existing relationship. If he's the one who was betrayed, expect a gut-wrenching arc of him trying to decide whether trust can ever be rebuilt, all while a new, uncomplicated friendship with Daphne offers him something his marriage currently can't: peace. That's often how these storylines work. It's rarely about attraction alone. It's about the absence of conflict. Daphne, in this scenario, represents a blank slate, Someone without the baggage, without the years of history, without the fresh wound of betrayal attached to her name. For a man who has spent so much of his fictional life fighting for the people around him, the appeal of someone who simply lets him breathe could be more seductive than any grand romantic gesture. And if Finn isn't the one who was betrayed, but rather finds himself questioning his own choices after witnessing what infidelity does to the people he cares about, that's an entirely different, and arguably even more dramatic road for the writers to travel. Watching a fundamentally loyal character wrestle with unexpected feelings for someone new, all while trying to reconcile that with his own values, is exactly the kind of internal conflict that wins daytime Emmys. Daphne's side of the story. Let's not forget about Daphne in all of this. If these theories hold up, her arc could be just as pivotal as Finn's. A newer presence on the canvas, Daphne has spent her time so far establishing herself as intelligent, guarded, and not particularly interested in getting tangled up in the endless drama that defines everyone else's lives. That guardedness could be exactly what makes her connection with Finn feel different to viewers. She's not angling for anything, she's not playing a long game, she's simply a person in pain who happens to find comfort in someone equally wounded. For Daphne, this storyline could mark a turning point in how she's perceived by both the other characters and the audience. Betrayal has a way of either hardening people or cracking them open, and if the writers lean into the latter, we could be in for some genuinely moving material. A woman learning to trust again, one cautious conversation at a time, with a man who understands exactly what it feels like to have the rug pulled out from under him. There's also the question of how the other women in Finn's orbit might react to a growing closeness with Daphne. If there's one truism on this show, it's that emotional affairs are treated with just as much weight, sometimes more, than physical ones. A friendship that looks a little too comfortable, a little too frequent, a little too understanding, is going to raise eyebrows fast, even if nothing untoward is actually happening. Expect suspicious glances, pointed questions, and at least one dramatic confrontation where someone accuses Finn and Daphne of crossing a line they insist they haven't crossed. The fallout. Who gets hurt? If this storyline plays out anything like the fan theories suggest, the fallout is going to be massive. Betrayal storylines on this show never stay contained to just the people directly involved. They spread through friend groups, families, and business partnerships like wildfire. Expect confrontations at Forrester Creations. Expect someone to storm out of a family dinner. Expect at least one character to show up uninvited somewhere, drink in hand, ready to say what everyone else has been too polite to say out loud. And if Finn and Daphne's bond deepens into something more, the fallout could be seismic. Depending on who's already entangled with whom in this world, a Finn-Daphne pairing could realign alliances across multiple families, forcing characters who have been at odds for years to either team up against a common heartbreak or take sides in a new war entirely. That's the beauty, and the chaos, of long-running soap storytelling. Nothing exists in a vacuum. Every new romance is also, secretly, a referendum on every relationship that came before it. Could this be a slow-burn redemption story instead? Not every fan theory paints this as purely romantic speculation, either. Some viewers believe the show might be setting up a redemption arc rather than a new romance, a storyline where Finn and Daphne's bond ultimately helps both of them find their way back to the people they're supposed to be with, rather than away from them. In this reading, their friendship becomes the emotional scaffolding that allows Finn to process his anger and heartbreak in a healthy way, eventually leading him back to his marriage stronger and more self-aware than before. It's a less scandalous read, sure, but soap operas do occasionally surprise us by prioritizing genuine emotional growth over yet another love triangle. Given how saturated this world already is with tangled romantic history, there's a real argument to be made that the show could use a storyline about platonic healing just as much as it needs another slow-burn romance. Still, if we're being honest with ourselves, and with you, dear reader, the smart money in the fan community is on at least a little romantic tension being teased, even if it never fully materializes into anything concrete. This genre simply doesn't do, just friends, without at least a few episodes of charged eye contact and interrupted almost kisses along the way. What fans are saying. Online fan communities have already started buzzing about the possibility, even in the absence of any confirmed casting or script details. Some fans are thrilled at the idea of Finn getting a storyline that doesn't revolve entirely around the same handful of dramatic beats he cycled through before. Others are protective of his existing relationship and reluctant to see any storyline that puts it in jeopardy, even temporarily. And then there's a vocal contingent who are simply here for the drama, no matter which direction it goes, because at the end of the day, isn't that what makes this show so addictive in the first place? Comment sections and fan forums are already filling up with predictions. Some viewers are convinced this is nothing more than a temporary emotional beat designed to test an existing relationship before ultimately reaffirming it. Others are fully prepared for a slow-burn romance that plays out over months, complete with all the will they won't they tension the genre is famous for. A smaller but passionate group is holding out hope for a twist nobody's predicting yet, because if this show has taught us anything, it's that the most obvious theory is rarely the one that actually happens. Reading the tea leaves, what could come next? If the writers do decide to lean into this storyline, here's how it might unfold over the coming weeks, based purely on speculation and the show's well-worn narrative playbook. Act 1. The reveal. The betrayal comes to light in dramatic fashion, likely at a public event where the maximum number of characters can react in real time. Expect gasps, storming exits, and at least one glass of champagne meeting an untimely end against a wall. Act 2. The fallout. Friend groups splinter. Loyalties are tested. Finn, reeling, finds himself avoiding his usual circle and gravitating towards someone outside the immediate blast radius. Someone like Daphne, who offers a rare pocket of calm in an otherwise chaotic storm. Act 3. The bond deepens. What starts as occasional check-ins becomes a genuine friendship. They begin confiding in each other, first about the betrayal, then about deeper insecurities neither of them has voiced to anyone else. The show leans hard into lingering glances and charged silences, letting the audience do the shipping work for them. Act 4. The reckoning. Someone notices. Whether it's a suspicious partner, a nosy family member, or Daphne and Finn themselves finally acknowledging the elephant in the room, the growing closeness can no longer be ignored. A confrontation forces both of them to define what exactly is happening between them, and whether either of them is ready for the answer. Act 5. The choice. This is where the show would need to decide its ultimate direction. Does Finn choose to fight for his existing relationship, using his bond with Daphne as the wake-up call he needed? Or does the connection prove too strong to walk away from, setting the stage for an entirely new romantic pairing that reshapes the canvas for months to come? Of course, this is all speculation stitched together from fan theories and narrative patterns. The actual show could zig where we're predicting a zag, and frankly, that unpredictability is half the fun of watching in the first place. Why this storyline would work. Say what you want about soap opera plotting, but there's a reason the comfort turns complicated trope has survived for decades. It works. It taps into something deeply relatable, the idea that pain doesn't always find its way to the people we expect, and that sometimes the person who understands us best is the one we least expected to need. Betrayal storylines are compelling because they force characters to confront who they really are when the mask comes off. Do they retreat into bitterness? Do they cling to what's familiar out of fear rather than genuine love? Or do they let themselves be vulnerable with someone new, even knowing how messy and complicated that vulnerability might become? A Finn and Daphne pairing, whether platonic or romantic, has the potential to explore all of that. It's a chance for the show to dig into grief, trust, identity, and the terrifying vulnerability of letting someone new see you at your absolute lowest. And if the writers play their cards right, it could become one of the most talked about storylines of the year, precisely because nobody saw it coming. The bottom line. So, will Finn and Daphne really turn to each other for comfort after a devastating cheating scandal rocks their world? As of right now, this is entirely speculative fan theorizing, built from narrative patterns, fan community buzz, and the kind of educated guesswork long-time soap viewers have gotten scarily good at over the years. Nothing here is confirmed, and the show could easily take this story in a completely different direction, or not tell it at all. But if there's one thing we know for certain about this world, it's that heartbreak never happens in isolation, and comfort has a funny way of turning into something nobody expected. Whether Finn and Daphne end up as an unlikely friendship, a slow-burn romance, or something the writers haven't even dreamed up yet, one thing's for sure. When the cheating scandal finally drops, nobody on this canvas is walking away unscathed. Stay tuned, keep those DVRs set, and don't touch that remote, because if even half of these theories turn out to be true, this is shaping up to be one of the most dramatic chapters this show has told in years. Disclaimer. This article is a work of speculative fan fiction inspired by the bold and the beautiful and its characters. It is not based on actual confirmed spoilers, official show announcements, or insider scripts, and should be read purely as entertainment and fan theorizing.